Hello there. There's a voice in your head, isn't there? A harsh voice, a critical voice, a voice that never seems satisfied with you, a voice that always finds fault, always points out what's wrong, always reminds you of your failures, your flaws, your inadequacies. That voice, it's loud tonight, telling you you're not good enough, that you should have done better, that you're falling short, that you're failing, that you're not measuring up. That voice, it's relentless, constant, cruel. And you believe it. You listen to it. You let it define you. You accept its judgment as truth. You internalize its criticism as fact. That voice tells you you're not enough, and you think, yes, that's true. I'm not enough. Maybe that voice sounds familiar. Maybe it sounds like someone from your past, a parent, a teacher, someone who was critical of you, someone whose judgment you absorbed, someone whose harsh words became your inner voice. Their criticism became your self-talk. Or maybe that voice is just the accumulation of every judgment you've ever received, every criticism, every time someone pointed out what was wrong with you. All of it internalized, all of it now speaking in your own voice, telling you terrible things about yourself, in your own thoughts. And you're exhausted from it. Exhausted from the constant criticism, exhausted from never being good enough, exhausted from the voice that never offers kindness, never offers encouragement, never offers love, just criticism, just judgment, just harsh assessment of every perceived flaw and failure. Take a breath with me, just one breath. And as you exhale, imagine turning down the volume on that voice, just a little, just for now. You don't have to listen to every word. You don't have to believe everything it says. Let your shoulders drop. Let yourself have a moment of peace from that constant criticism. Tonight we're going to talk about that voice, that inner critic, that harsh judge who lives in your head. And we're going to talk about something radical, something you might not have considered, something that might change everything. Kindness. Kindness toward yourself. Love for yourself. Not someday when you're perfect, not when you've fixed everything, not when you've earned it, but now, as you are, with all your perceived flaws and failures. Kindness. Now. Because here's the truth. That harsh voice isn't helping you. That constant criticism isn't making you better. That relentless judgment isn't creating improvement. It's just making you suffer. It's just breaking you down. It's just destroying your sense of worth. And you deserve better. You deserve kindness. You deserve compassion. You deserve love, especially from yourself. especially from your own inner voice. You deserve to speak to yourself the way you'd speak to someone you love, with gentleness, with understanding, with kindness. So tonight, let's work on changing the voice, on silencing the critic, on replacing harsh judgment with gentle compassion, on learning to love yourself, not when you're perfect, but now, as you are. Kindness starts with you. Love yourself first. That's not selfish. That's essential. That's what will actually help you grow and heal and become. You know what that inner critic says. You know the kinds of things it tells you. Let's name them. Let's bring them into the light. Because when you hear them out loud, you'll see how harsh they are, how cruel, how unfair. The inner critic says, "You're not good enough, never good enough. No matter what you do, how hard you try, how much you accomplish, never enough. Always falling short, always inadequate." That's what it tells you. The inner critic says, "You're a failure when you make a mistake, when something doesn't work out, when you fall short of a goal. You're not someone who experienced failure. You are failure. Your identity, your essence. Failure. That's what it tells you." The inner critic says, "You're stupid when you don't know something, when you make an error, when you don't understand. You're not learning. You're not making a mistake. You're stupid. Fundamentally lacking intelligence." That's what it tells you. The inner critic says, "You're unlovable. When someone leaves, when a relationship ends, when you feel rejected, you're not experiencing a difficult situation. You're fundamentally unlovable, unworthy of love, destined to be alone." That's what it tells you. The inner critic says, "You should be ashamed of your body, of your desires, of your needs, of your emotions, of your humanity. You should hide, should be different, should be ashamed of who you are." That's what it tells you. The inner critic says, "Everyone else is better than you. They're smarter, more capable, more successful, more lovable, more everything. And you're less. Always less. Always inferior. Always not measuring up." That's what it tells you. The inner critic says, "You don't deserve good things. Good things that happen are luck. They won't last. You didn't earn them. You don't deserve them. You should expect them to be taken away. Because you're not worthy of having good things." That's what it tells you. These messages, these harsh, cruel, unfair judgments, That's what the inner critic tells you. Constantly, relentlessly, day after day, year after year. And you've been believing it, accepting it as truth, internalizing it as fact. But it's not truth. It's not fact. It's just harsh judgment, cruel criticism, unfair assessment from a voice that's been trained to be harsh, that learned to be critical, that was programmed to judge. And that voice, it doesn't help you. It doesn't make you better. It doesn't motivate positive change. It just makes you suffer. It just breaks you down. It just destroys your sense of worth and capability and lovability. So what if you stopped believing it? What if you recognized it for what it is? Not truth. Not helpful feedback, not accurate assessment. Just harsh, cruel, unfair criticism that deserves to be questioned, challenged, rejected. You wouldn't let someone else speak to you this way. You wouldn't accept this kind of criticism from another person. You'd recognize it as abusive, as cruel, as unfair. So why do you accept it from yourself? Why do you let your inner voice be crueler than you'd let anyone else be? You deserve better. You deserve kindness from yourself. You deserve to speak to yourself with the same gentleness you'd offer someone else you care about. You deserve an inner voice that's supportive, not destructive, encouraging, not critical, kind, not cruel. So stop accepting the harsh voice as truth. Start recognizing it as what it is. Learned criticism, internalized judgment, harsh programming, not truth, not helpful, not acceptable. Time to change the voice. Let's talk about where that harsh inner voice came from, because understanding its origin helps you recognize it's not truth. It's not your essential nature. It's learned. It was programmed into you. And what was learned can be unlearned. What was programmed can be reprogrammed. Maybe you had critical parents who pointed out every flaw, who focused on what was wrong instead of what was right, who never seemed satisfied, who withheld praise, who offered criticism freely. Their voice became your inner voice. Their judgment became your self-judgment. Maybe you had demanding teachers who focused on mistakes instead of effort, who compared you unfavorably to others, who made you feel never good enough, who emphasized perfection, who punished errors. Their standards became your standards. Their criticism became your self-criticism. Maybe you experienced bullying from peers, from siblings, from people who targeted your vulnerabilities, who said cruel things, who pointed out your differences, who made you feel less than. Their words became your thoughts. Their cruelty became your self-talk. Maybe you lived in a culture that emphasized achievement over being, that valued performance over presence, that measured worth by accomplishment, that communicated you're only valuable if you're productive, successful, perfect. That cultural message became your inner message. Maybe you experienced trauma or loss or rejection, and you internalized it as being your fault, as evidence something's wrong with you, as proof you're not good enough. You created a harsh inner voice to explain painful experiences, to make sense of hurt by blaming yourself. Or maybe it's all of these things, layered, accumulated, building over time, creating a harsh inner voice that's the sum of every critical message you've ever received, every judgment, every comparison, every rejection, all internalized, all now speaking in your own thoughts. But here's what's important. That voice isn't you. It's not your essential nature. It's not truth. It's learned. It's programming. It's internalized external criticism. It's old messages from old sources that are no longer relevant. And because it's learned, it can be unlearned. Because it's programming, it can be reprogrammed. Because it's internalized external voices, it can be replaced with a more authentic internal voice, a kinder voice, a more compassionate voice, a voice that's actually yours, not the echo of others' judgments. So understanding where the harsh voice came from, that helps. Because then you can see it's not truth. It's just old programming, old messages, old voices that were internalized. And old programming can be updated. Old messages can be replaced. Old voices can be silenced. And new ones can be cultivated. You're not stuck with the harsh inner critic. You're not doomed to constant self-judgment. You're not trapped with cruel self-talk forever. Because it's learned. And what's learned can be changed, can be replaced, can be transformed. That harsh voice came from somewhere, from someone, from experiences and messages and judgments that were external before they became internal, so they can become external again. They can be released. They can be replaced with something kinder, something more compassionate, something actually helpful. You're not the harsh voice. You're the person who learned to speak harshly to yourself. And you can learn differently. You can speak to yourself differently. You can develop a new inner voice, a kind inner voice, a compassionate inner voice, a loving inner voice. That's possible. That's achievable. That's your work. Not accepting the harsh voice as unchangeable, but recognizing it's learned and therefore can be unlearned, can be replaced, can be transformed into something kind. That's your work. Start now. Now, let's talk about what that harsh inner voice is costing you. What you're losing by believing it. What damage it's creating. Because understanding the cost might motivate you to change it, to silence the critic, to replace harshness with kindness. The harsh inner voice costs you your self-worth. Every time you believe, "I'm not good enough," your sense of worth diminishes. Every time you accept, "I'm a failure," your confidence erodes. Every time you internalize, "I'm unlovable," your ability to receive love decreases. The harsh voice destroys your sense of worth. Piece by piece, day by day, the harsh inner voice costs you your peace. You can never relax, never feel satisfied, never feel okay, because the voice is always pointing out what's wrong, always criticizing, always judging. You live in constant anxiety, constant pressure, constant fear of not being enough. The harsh voice steals your peace. The harsh inner voice costs you your growth because it doesn't motivate positive change. It just creates shame and paralysis. You don't grow through harsh criticism. You grow through kind encouragement, through supportive challenge, through compassionate accountability. The harsh voice doesn't help you grow. It keeps you stuck in shame. The harsh inner voice costs you your relationships, because how you speak to yourself affects how you relate to others. If you can't be kind to yourself, you struggle to accept kindness from others. If you judge yourself harshly, you expect judgment from others. If you don't love yourself, you can't fully receive love from others. The harsh voice damages your relationships. The harsh inner voice costs you your joy. You can't fully enjoy accomplishments because the voice says they're not good enough. You can't celebrate successes because the voice finds flaws. You can't experience happiness because the voice reminds you of what's wrong. The harsh voice steals joy, makes celebration impossible, prevents contentment. The harsh inner voice costs you your authenticity because you're constantly trying to be different than you are, trying to fix what the voice says is wrong, trying to become acceptable. You can't be authentically yourself when you believe yourself is fundamentally flawed. The harsh voice prevents authenticity, creates performance, blocks genuine self-expression. The harsh inner voice costs you your energy. The constant criticism is exhausting. The perpetual judgment drains you. The relentless harshness depletes your energy. Energy that could be used for growth, for creation, for living. Instead, it's consumed by the harsh voice, by defending against it, by trying to satisfy it, by suffering under it. The harsh inner voice costs you your potential because you don't try things, You don't take risks. You don't pursue dreams. Because the voice tells you you'll fail. You're not capable. You're not good enough. So you play small. You stay safe. You limit yourself. The harsh voice prevents you from reaching your potential. That's the cost. Worth, peace, growth, relationships, joy, authenticity, energy, potential, all damaged by the harsh inner voice, all diminished by constant self-criticism, all stolen by cruel self-talk. So, the question is the harsh voice worth that cost? Is constant criticism worth losing your peace? Is harsh judgment worth destroying your self-worth? Is cruel self-talk worth preventing your growth? No, it's not worth it. The harsh voice doesn't help. It only hurts. It doesn't motivate. It only damages. It doesn't improve you. It only diminishes you. So it needs to change. The voice needs to become kind. Critical needs to become compassionate. Harsh needs to become gentle. Not because harsh isn't working well enough, but because harsh is actively destructive. The cost is too high. The damage is too great. The harsh voice needs to be silenced and replaced with kindness, with compassion, with love. That's not optional. That's essential. For your well-being, for your growth, for your life. The harsh voice has to change to kindness, starting now. So how do you change the voice? How do you silence the critic? How do you replace harsh judgment with kind compassion? Here's the practice. Here's the work. Here's what actually creates change. First, notice the harsh voice. You can't change what you don't notice, so become aware. When harsh thoughts arise, notice them. There's my inner critic. There's harsh self-talk. There's cruel judgment. Just notice. Without judgment, just awareness. That's step one. Second, question the harsh voice. Don't just believe it. Challenge it. Is that true? Is that fair? Is that helpful? Often it's not true. It's exaggerated. It's unfair. It's unhelpful. So question it. Is it true that I'm a complete failure? Or did I fail at one thing? Is it true that I'm unlovable? Or did one relationship end? Question the harsh voice. It usually doesn't hold up to examination. Third, identify where it came from. That sounds like my mother. That sounds like my teacher. That sounds like the bully from school. Recognizing the voice isn't originally yours helps you separate from it. That's not my truth. That's their judgment that I internalized. Identifying the source creates distance. Fourth, reject the harsh message. Consciously, deliberately. I reject that judgment. I reject that criticism. I reject that harsh assessment. It's not true. It's not helpful. I reject it. Actively rejecting the harsh voice is important. Don't just passively receive it. Actively push back against it. Fifth, replace with kindness. This is crucial. Don't just silence the harsh voice and leave a void. Replace it with a kind voice. I'm not a failure. I'm learning. I experienced a setback, and I'm figuring out what to do next. That's normal. That's human. That's okay. Replace harsh with kind, critical with compassionate, cruel with loving. Sixth, practice consistently. This isn't one and done. This is daily practice, hourly practice. Every time the harsh voice speaks, notice, question, identify source, reject, replace with kindness. Over and over, until the kind voice becomes louder than the harsh voice, until compassion becomes your default, until love becomes automatic. It takes time. It takes practice. It takes consistency. The harsh voice has been there for years, maybe decades. It's deeply grooved, well practiced, automatic. You can't change it instantly. You can only change it through repeated practice, through consistently choosing kindness, through persistently replacing harsh with compassionate. But it's possible. The voice can change. The critic can be silenced. Harsh can become kind. Through practice, through consistency, through commitment to speaking to yourself differently. So start practicing. Now. Today. Every time the harsh voice speaks, notice it. Question it. Identify where it came from. Reject it. Replace it with kindness. Do this over and over, until kindness becomes your new default, until compassion becomes automatic, until love is your inner voice. That's the work. That's the practice. That's what changes the voice. Not waiting for it to spontaneously become kind, but actively, consciously, persistently choosing kindness, practicing compassion, replacing harsh with gentle, over and over until the change sticks. You can do this. You can change your inner voice. You can silence the critic. You can replace harsh with kind. Through practice, through consistency, through commitment. Start now. Practice now. Choose kindness now. That's how the voice changes. Through practice. Start practicing. Let me tell you what the kind inner voice sounds like, what it actually says, how it speaks to you, so you can practice it, so you can learn it, so you can make it your new default. When you make a mistake, the harsh voice says, "You're a failure. You're stupid. You can't do anything right." The kind voice says, "You made a mistake. That's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. What can you learn from this? How can you do it differently next time? You're learning. That's good." When you don't meet a goal, the harsh voice says, "You're not good enough. You'll never succeed. You should give up." The kind voice says, "You worked hard. It didn't work out this time. That's disappointing. But one setback doesn't define your capability. You can try again. You can adjust your approach. You're capable." When someone criticizes you, the harsh voice says, "They're right. You are terrible. Everyone thinks so." The kind voice says, "That's their opinion. It might have some truth in it worth considering, or it might not. Either way, one person's opinion doesn't determine your worth. You're still valuable." When you feel inadequate, the harsh voice says, "You're not enough. You'll never be enough. Everyone else is better." The kind voice says, "You're enough as you are. You're growing and developing. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be like everyone else. You're you, and that's enough." When you feel unlovable, the harsh voice says, "No one will ever love you. You're fundamentally flawed. You'll always be alone." The kind voice says, "You are lovable. One relationship ending doesn't change that. One rejection doesn't define your worth. You're worthy of love. You'll find people who see that." When you're struggling, the harsh voice says, "You should be better. You're weak. You should be able to handle this." The kind voice says, "This is hard. It's okay to struggle. You're doing your best. You're allowed to find things difficult. You're human. Struggling doesn't mean you're failing." When you need rest, the harsh voice says, "You're lazy. You should do more. You're wasting time." The kind voice says, "You're tired. Rest is important. Taking care of yourself isn't lazy. It's necessary. You deserve rest. Take the break you need." When you feel emotions, the harsh voice says, "You're too sensitive. Stop being so emotional. Get over it." The kind voice says, "Your feelings are valid. You're allowed to feel what you feel." Emotions are information. Listen to them. Honor them. They're part of being human. That's the difference. Harsh versus kind. Critical versus compassionate. Cruel versus loving. Notice the tone. Notice the message. Notice how different they feel. The harsh voice breaks you down. The kind voice builds you up. The harsh voice destroys worth. The kind voice affirms worth. So practice the kind voice. When harsh thoughts arise, replace them with kind thoughts. Consciously, deliberately. What would I say to a friend in this situation? How would I speak to someone I love? Let me say that to myself instead. Practice kind self-talk over and over until it becomes natural, until kindness is your default, until love is your inner voice. You deserve kind self-talk. You deserve compassionate self-judgment. You deserve a loving inner voice. Not someday, now, as you are, with all your imperfections. You deserve kindness from yourself. Start practicing. Now, let me tell you what becomes possible when you love yourself, when you speak to yourself with kindness, when your inner voice becomes compassionate instead of critical. You have peace, real peace, internal peace, because you're not constantly at war with yourself, not constantly criticizing, not constantly judging. You're on your own side. You're kind to yourself. And that creates peace, deep, sustainable, internal peace. You grow faster because kind encouragement motivates growth. Harsh criticism creates paralysis. Compassion creates safety to try, safety to fail, safety to learn, safety to grow. So you grow more freely, more quickly, more deeply, because kindness creates the conditions for real growth. You're more resilient, because when you fail, you don't destroy yourself. You encourage yourself. You learn. You try again. Resilience comes from self-compassion, from being able to fall down and speak kindly to yourself as you get back up. Kindness creates resilience. You have better relationships because when you love yourself, you can receive love from others. When you're kind to yourself, you attract kind people. When you value yourself, you don't tolerate mistreatment. Self-love improves all your relationships with everyone. You're more authentic because you're not trying to fix what you've decided is wrong with you. You're accepting who you are, loving who you are, being who you are. Authenticity comes from self-acceptance, from loving yourself as you are. Kindness enables authenticity. You take better care of yourself because you value yourself. You're worth taking care of. You deserve good things, good food, good rest, good experiences. When you love yourself, you naturally take better care of yourself. Kindness motivates self-care. You're more creative because creativity requires vulnerability, trying new things, taking risks, being willing to fail. Harsh self-criticism kills creativity. Self-compassion enables it. When you're kind to yourself, You're free to create, to explore, to experiment. Kindness unleashes creativity. You're more joyful because you can enjoy things without harsh judgment ruining them. You can celebrate accomplishments. You can appreciate good moments. You can feel happiness without the inner critic destroying it. Kindness allows joy, creates space for celebration, enables contentment. You're more confident, not arrogant, but genuinely confident, because confidence comes from self-acceptance, from knowing your worth, from being kind to yourself even when things don't go perfectly. Self-love creates real, sustainable confidence. You make better decisions because you're not deciding from fear of harsh self-judgment. You're deciding from self-trust, from knowing you'll be kind to yourself whatever happens. That freedom enables better decisions, wiser choices, more authentic directions. That's what self-love creates. Peace, growth, resilience, better relationships, authenticity, self-care, creativity, joy, confidence, better decisions. All of that becomes possible when you're kind to yourself, when you love yourself, when your inner voice is compassionate instead of critical. So, self-love isn't selfish. It's essential. It's not narcissistic. It's foundational. It's not optional. It's necessary. For your well-being, for your growth, for your relationships, for your life. Self-love is essential, and it starts with kindness, with speaking to yourself kindly, with replacing harsh with compassionate, with choosing love over judgment. That's where it starts, with how you speak to yourself, in your own thoughts. That's where self-love begins, in kindness. Choose it. Practice it. Make it your default. Kindness starts with you. Love yourself first. Tonight, as you lie here with that harsh inner voice criticizing you, I want you to practice something. I want you to practice kindness to yourself in your own thoughts right now. Take a breath, and as you exhale, imagine silencing the harsh voice, just for now, just for this moment. Turn down its volume. Let there be quiet. You don't have to listen to every harsh thought. Now, place your hand on your heart. Feel it beating. Your heart, that's been working for you your whole life, without judgment, without criticism, just faithfully beating, keeping you alive. That deserves kindness. You deserve kindness. Now, say to yourself gently, with as much love as you can find, I'm being kind to myself. I'm speaking to myself with love. I deserve kindness. From others, yes, but especially from myself. I'm choosing kindness now. Say it. Mean it. Choose it. Kindness for yourself. From yourself. Now, think of something the harsh voice criticized you about recently. Bring it to mind and notice how the harsh voice speaks about it. Notice the tone, the cruelty, the unfairness. And now, consciously, deliberately, replace it with kindness. How would you speak to a dear friend about this same situation? What would you say to someone you love? Say that to yourself instead. Use that tone, that gentleness, that compassion for yourself. For example, if the harsh voice says, "You're a failure," replace it with, "You experienced a setback. That's hard. But one setback doesn't define you. You're learning. You're growing. You're trying. That's what matters." Practice this replacement. Harsh with kind. Critical with compassionate. Cruel with loving. Notice how different it feels. How much gentler. How much more supportive. Now, offer yourself encouragement. What do you need to hear right now? What would help? What would feel supportive? Say that to yourself. I'm doing my best. That's enough. I'm worthy of love. I'm capable of growth. I'm enough as I am. Whatever you need to hear, say it to yourself in your own kind inner voice. Give yourself the encouragement you need, the support you're craving, the kindness you deserve. And finally, make a commitment. I'm practicing kind self-talk. I'm replacing harsh with compassionate. I'm learning to love myself. This is my work. This is my practice. I'm committed to speaking to myself with kindness, consistently, patiently, lovingly. Feel that commitment, that intention, that choice to be kind to yourself, to love yourself, to make your inner voice a voice of compassion instead of criticism. This is your practice. Every day, every time the harsh voice speaks, notice it, question it, reject it, replace it with kindness, over and over, until kindness becomes your default, until love is your inner voice. You deserve this kindness, this compassion. this love from yourself, for yourself. You deserve it. Not when you're perfect. Now, as you are, with all your beautiful human imperfection. You deserve kindness from yourself. Give it to yourself. Practice it. Make it your new default. Kindness starts with you. Love yourself first. Not selfishly, essentially, not narcissistically, foundationally. Start with yourself. Speak to yourself with kindness. Replace harsh with compassionate. Choose love for yourself, from yourself. That's your practice. That's your work. Start now. Be kind to yourself. You deserve it. Let me tell you what you need to believe. What's true, even when the harsh voice argues otherwise. What remains real, even when criticism seems convincing. You are worthy of kindness from others and from yourself. You don't have to earn kindness through perfection. You don't have to deserve it through achievement. You're worthy of kindness simply by being human, by being alive, by being you. Kindness isn't earned. It's deserved by everyone, including you. You are not the harsh voice. The harsh voice is learned programming, internalized criticism, old messages from old sources. But it's not you. It's not your truth. It's not your essence. You are the awareness that can hear the harsh voice, and you can choose not to believe it, not to accept it, not to let it define you. You deserve love. You are lovable. Not when you fix everything, not when you become perfect. Now, as you are, with all your imperfections, with all your humanity, you're lovable. You deserve love from others and from yourself. That's not conditional. That's inherent. You're lovable. Period. The harsh voice doesn't help you. It doesn't motivate positive change. It doesn't make you better. It just makes you suffer. Real growth comes from compassion, from encouragement, from support, not from harsh criticism. So the harsh voice isn't helping, it's just hurting, and it needs to change. You can change your inner voice. The harsh voice isn't permanent, isn't unchangeable, isn't your destiny. It's learned, and therefore can be unlearned, can be replaced, can be transformed into something kind. You have that power, that ability, that choice. You can change your inner voice. through practice, through consistency, through choosing kindness, you're doing better than you think. The harsh voice makes you believe you're failing. You're not. You're growing, learning, trying. That's enough. That's good. You're doing better than the harsh voice wants you to believe. Much better. Trust that. Know that. Believe that. You deserve to be your own best friend, not your own worst enemy. You deserve to have your own back, to support yourself, to encourage yourself, to be kind to yourself. You deserve an inner voice that's on your side, that believes in you, that loves you. You deserve that from yourself. Self-love isn't selfish. It's essential. It's not narcissistic. It's foundational. It's not optional. It's necessary for your well-being, for your growth, for your relationships, for your life. Self-love is essential, and it starts with kind self-talk, with compassionate self-judgment, with loving inner voice. You are enough, right now, as you are. You don't have to be different to be acceptable. You don't have to be better to be good enough. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy. You're enough, now, as you are. Believe that. Even when the harsh voice argues, you're enough. These truths, hold them. Especially when the harsh voice speaks, when criticism rises, when judgment comes. Remember these truths. You're worthy of kindness. You're not the harsh voice. You deserve love. The harsh voice doesn't help. You can change it. You're doing better than you think. You deserve to be your own best friend. Self-love is essential. You're enough. Believe these truths. Live from these truths. Let these truths guide you. They're real. They're solid. They're what you build on. Hold them. Trust them. Believe them. Especially when the harsh voice tries to convince you otherwise. These truths remain. You're worthy. You're lovable. You're enough. Believe that. Let's talk about something important. About what happens when you start practicing kindness toward yourself. When you begin replacing that harsh inner voice with compassion. When you choose self-love over self-criticism. What changes? What becomes possible? First, you breathe easier. Literally. That constant inner criticism, it creates tension, physical tension. Your body is always braced for the next harsh judgment, always prepared for criticism, always tense. But when you practice kindness, when you speak to yourself gently, your body relaxes. You can breathe. You can rest. That tension releases. Second, you have more energy. So much energy gets consumed by the inner critic, by constant self-judgment, by defending yourself from your own thoughts, by trying to be good enough to satisfy an unsatisfiable voice. That's exhausting. But when you quiet the critic, when you practice kindness, that energy becomes available for actual living, for real growth, for genuine joy. Third, you make better decisions. The harsh voice creates fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. And fear-based decisions are reactive, defensive, limited. But kindness creates safety. Safety creates clarity. Clarity enables wise decisions. So self-kindness actually improves your decision-making. Fourth, relationships improve. When you're harsh with yourself, you're usually harsh with others too. When you can't accept your own imperfection, you struggle to accept others' imperfection. But when you practice self-kindness, when you develop self-compassion, that extends outward. You become kinder to others, more accepting, more compassionate. Relationships naturally improve. Fifth, you actually grow more. This might seem counterintuitive. Doesn't harshness motivate change? No. Research shows the opposite. Harshness creates shame. Shame creates avoidance. Avoidance prevents growth. But compassion creates safety. Safety creates willingness to face difficult things. Willingness creates actual growth. So self-kindness actually facilitates the growth that self-criticism claims to motivate, but actually prevents. Sixth, you enjoy life more. When the inner critic is loud, you can't fully enjoy anything. There's always judgment, always criticism, always, yes, but you should have. Always, that's not good enough. Always, something wrong. But when you quiet the critic, when you practice kindness, you can actually enjoy things fully without constant criticism. That's freedom. That's joy. Seventh, you trust yourself more. The harsh voice makes you doubt yourself, question yourself, not trust your own judgment. But kindness builds self-trust. When you're kind to yourself, when you're on your own side, you start trusting yourself, your choices, your judgment, your capability. That self-trust is foundational. Eighth, you become more resilient. Harshness doesn't create resilience, it creates fragility. Because you're already attacking yourself internally, external challenges feel overwhelming. But kindness creates real resilience, because you know you have your own back. You know you'll be gentle with yourself through difficulty. That makes you stronger, more capable of handling challenges. Ninth, you're more creative. The harsh voice shuts down creativity because creativity requires risk, requires willingness to try things that might not work, requires freedom to experiment. But the harsh voice punishes mistakes, so creativity shuts down. But kindness creates safety. Safety enables creative risk-taking, experimentation, trying new things. So self-kindness actually unlocks creativity. 10th, you're genuinely happier. Not fake happiness, not forced positivity, but real, genuine well-being. Because you're not constantly at war with yourself. You're not perpetually inadequate. You're not always falling short. You're treating yourself with kindness, and that creates real happiness, peace, contentment, joy. All of this, all of these benefits from practicing self-kindness, from replacing harsh with compassionate, from choosing to love yourself. These aren't small changes. These are life-changing, life-improving, life-enhancing. So practice kindness, not just because you deserve it, though you do, but because it works, because it creates real, meaningful, positive change in your life, in yourself, in everything. I want to address something you might be thinking. But if I'm kind to myself, if I stop being harsh, won't I become lazy? Won't I stop trying? Won't I stop growing? Don't I need that harsh voice to keep me motivated? No, you don't. That's a myth, a harmful belief that keeps you stuck in self-cruelty. Let me explain why. The harsh voice doesn't motivate growth. It motivates fear-based action. You do things to avoid criticism, to prevent harsh judgment, to escape the voice. Not because you genuinely want to grow, not because you're inspired, but because you're afraid of the harsh voice if you don't. That's not sustainable motivation. That's anxiety. That's living in constant fear of your own judgment. And that kind of motivation leads to burnout, to resentment, to eventually giving up. Real, sustainable motivation comes from a different place. From self-compassion, from kindness, from wanting to grow because you believe in yourself, because you're excited about possibilities, because you care about yourself enough to invest in your development. Think about it. Who would you work harder for? Someone who's constantly critical of you? Who never acknowledges your efforts? Who always points out what's wrong? Who makes you feel never good enough? Or someone who believes in you, who acknowledges your efforts, who encourages you, who supports you. You'd work harder for the supportive person, obviously, because their belief in you inspires you. Their encouragement motivates you. Their support makes you want to grow. So why do you think your inner voice being harsh will motivate you more than it being kind? It won't. Kindness motivates better than harshness. Support inspires more than criticism. Belief creates more growth than judgment. Research confirms this. Self-compassion is associated with more motivation, not less. More resilience, not less. More perseverance, not less. More achievement, not less. Because compassion creates sustainable motivation. Harshness creates fear-based action that can't be sustained. So, no, being kind to yourself won't make you lazy. It will actually increase your genuine motivation, your sustainable effort, your real growth. Because you'll be working from inspiration, not fear. From belief in yourself, not fear of criticism. From genuine desire to grow, not desperate need to avoid harsh judgment. And here's another important thing. The harsh voice doesn't actually keep you accountable anyway. It just makes you feel terrible. Accountability comes from clarity about your values, about what matters to you, about who you want to become. That's accountability, not harsh self-judgment, but clear values and commitment to them. You can be kind to yourself and still have standards. You can be compassionate and still work hard. You can love yourself and still pursue growth. These aren't contradictions. They're actually complementary. Kind accountability sounds like, that didn't go as well as I wanted. That's disappointing. What can I learn from this? How can I approach it differently next time? I believe in my ability to grow and improve. Harsh criticism sounds like, I'm such an idiot. I always mess everything up. I'm a failure. I'll never get this right. What's wrong with me? Which one actually motivates growth? Which one creates willingness to try again? Which one builds confidence and capability? The kind accountability, obviously. So stop believing you need harshness to grow. You don't. You need kindness. You need support. You need belief in yourself. That's what creates real, sustainable, healthy growth. Be kind to yourself. Not instead of growing, as the foundation for growing. Not instead of having standards, as the foundation for meeting them. Not instead of being accountable, as the basis for real accountability. Kindness doesn't make you lazy. It makes you genuinely motivated, really resilient, actually accountable. Trust that. Practice that. Experience that. You'll see. Kindness works better than harshness, always. Let me talk to you about self-forgiveness. Because part of being kind to yourself is forgiving yourself for mistakes, for failures, for times you fell short, for ways you've hurt others or yourself, for things you regret. Self-forgiveness That's essential kindness. The harsh voice doesn't forgive. It holds on to every mistake, reminds you of every failure, brings up every regret, uses your past against you constantly. That's cruelty. That's keeping yourself imprisoned by past mistakes. That's not helpful. That's just torment. But kindness forgives, acknowledges mistakes without being defined by them, recognizes failures without making them your identity, sees regrets without letting them determine your worth. Forgiveness. That's what kindness offers. So what do you need to forgive yourself for? What's the harsh voice holding against you? What mistakes does it keep reminding you about? What failures does it use to prove you're not enough? Bring those to mind. Now, instead of the harsh voice's judgment, offer yourself forgiveness. Not excusing what happened, not pretending it didn't matter, but forgiving, releasing yourself from the constant punishment, freeing yourself from the prison of past mistakes. Say to yourself, I made mistakes. I'm human. Humans make mistakes. I can acknowledge what I did wrong without being defined by it. I can regret my choices without hating myself for them. I can learn from failures without making them my identity. Feel that. The difference between acknowledging mistakes and being imprisoned by them. Between learning from failures and being defined by them. That's forgiveness. That's freedom. Now, be specific. Think of a specific mistake, something you regret, something the harsh voice uses against you. And say specifically, I forgive myself for specific mistake. I was doing the best I could with what I knew then. I've learned from it. I'm growing from it. I'm releasing the harsh judgment about it. I forgive myself. Mean it. Really forgive. Not just say the words. Actually release the harsh judgment. Let yourself off the hook. Not because the mistake didn't matter, but because holding on to harsh judgment isn't helping you. It's just making you suffer. And you don't deserve to suffer forever for being imperfect. Now, recognize this. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean you're okay with what happened. Doesn't mean you wouldn't choose differently now. Doesn't mean there weren't consequences or hurt. It means you're releasing yourself from constant punishment, from the harsh voice's endless judgment, from using your past against your present. Forgiveness is release, liberation, freedom from the prison of perpetual self-judgment. That's what kindness offers. That's what you deserve. That's what enables you to move forward. And understand something important. The harsh voice thinks holding on to judgment keeps you accountable, keeps you from repeating mistakes, keeps you learning. But it doesn't. It just keeps you stuck, keeps you suffering, keeps you imprisoned. Real accountability comes from learning, from committing to different choices, from actual growth, not from perpetual self-punishment. You can learn without the harsh judgment. You can grow without the constant criticism. You can change without the endless reminders of past mistakes. So, forgive yourself. Truly, completely. Not someday when you've earned it. Now, as an act of kindness. As a choice for freedom. As a commitment to releasing harsh judgment. You've held on to it long enough. You've punished yourself sufficiently. You've suffered enough for being human and making human mistakes. It's time to forgive. Time to release. Time to be free. Forgive yourself. Not because what you did was okay, but because you deserve freedom from endless punishment. You deserve release from constant judgment. You deserve to move forward without your past chaining you to suffering. Forgive yourself. That's essential self-kindness. That's how you love yourself. That's how you practice compassion. Forgive. Release. Be free. You deserve that. You really do. Now, let's talk about self-care. Real self-care, not the superficial kind, not bubble baths and face masks, though those are fine, but deep self-care, the kind that comes from genuine self-love, from truly treating yourself with kindness. Self-care is saying no when you need to say no, even when people are disappointed, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you feel guilty. Setting boundaries, protecting your energy, honoring your needs. That's self-care. That's kindness to yourself. Self-care is resting when you need rest, not pushing through exhaustion, not forcing productivity, not ignoring your body's needs. Actually resting. Giving yourself permission to not be productive, to just be. That's self-care. That's loving yourself. Self-care is feeding yourself nourishing food, not as punishment, not as control, but as care. Giving your body what it needs to function. Enjoying food without guilt. Eating with kindness toward yourself. That's self-care. That's treating yourself well. Self-care is moving your body in ways that feel good, not as punishment for eating, not to earn your worth, not to achieve some standard of perfection, but because movement feels good, because your body wants to move, because it's care for yourself. That's self-care. That's honoring your body. Self-care is getting help when you need it. Professional help, therapy, coaching, medical care. Not struggling alone because you think you should be able to handle everything yourself, but getting support. That's self-care. That's wisdom. That's self-love. Self-care is choosing relationships that honor you, that respect you, that appreciate you, and releasing relationships that diminish you, that use you, that drain you. Choosing who you spend time with based on how they treat you. That's self-care. That's valuing yourself. Self-care is pursuing what brings you joy, what lights you up, what makes you feel alive. Not just doing what you should, not just fulfilling obligations, but making space for joy, for pleasure, for what makes your life feel worth living. That's self-care. That's honoring yourself. Self-care is speaking kindly to yourself. This is self-care too, how you talk to yourself, the voice in your head. Making that voice kind instead of harsh. That's fundamental self-care. That's the foundation of treating yourself well. Self-care is giving yourself permission to be imperfect, to make mistakes, to not have it all figured out, to be in process, to be human. That permission, that acceptance, that's self-care. That's loving yourself as you are. Self-care is investing in yourself, in your growth, in your healing, in your development. Time, energy, money, whatever resources you have, investing in yourself because you believe you're worth investing in. That's self-care. That's self-belief. Self-care is protecting your peace, not engaging in drama, not taking on other people's problems, not exposing yourself to constant negativity. Protecting what you've built internally, that calm, that peace. Protecting it. That's self-care. That's wisdom. All of these are acts of self-love, acts of kindness towards yourself, acts of treating yourself the way you deserve to be treated. This is real self-care, not surface, deep, not temporary, foundational, not optional, essential. So practice self-care, real self-care, not just the Instagram version, the real, deep, meaningful care of yourself, your body, your mind, your heart, your spirit, your energy, your peace, your life. Care for yourself. Truly. Deeply. Consistently. Not selfishly. Essentially. Not narcissistically. Foundationally. Care for yourself the way you'd care for someone you love deeply. Because you do love yourself deeply, or you're learning to. And that love expresses through care, through kindness, through honoring yourself. Self-care. Practice it. Make it non-negotiable. Make it essential. Because you are essential. You matter. You're worth caring for. Truly. Deeply. Consistently. Care for yourself. That's self-love in action. I want to talk to you about the difference between self-love and narcissism. Because maybe you're afraid that loving yourself, being kind to yourself, will make you selfish, narcissistic, self-absorbed. So let me clarify the difference. Narcissism is thinking you're better than everyone else, superior, more important, more valuable. It's elevating yourself by diminishing others. It's believing you deserve special treatment, that rules don't apply to you, that others exist to serve you. That's narcissism. Self-love is recognizing your worth, not more than others, not less than others. Equal. You're valuable. They're valuable. You're worthy. They're worthy. You deserve kindness. They deserve kindness. Equal worth. That's self-love. Narcissism lacks empathy, doesn't consider others' feelings, doesn't care about others' needs, uses people, exploits, manipulates, sees others as objects to meet their needs. That's narcissism. Self-love includes compassion for others, recognizes others' humanity, considers others' feelings, respects others' needs, treats people with dignity, values relationships, practices empathy. That's self-love. It extends outward, not just inward. Narcissism can't handle criticism, reacts defensively, blames others, can't acknowledge mistakes, can't apologize genuinely, protects a fragile ego with aggression and denial. That's narcissism. Self-love can receive feedback, can acknowledge mistakes, can apologize sincerely, can grow from criticism, has a stable sense of worth that doesn't collapse when challenged. That's self-love. It's secure, not fragile. Narcissism needs constant validation, needs to be admired, needs to be the center of attention, needs others to reflect their superiority back to them. That's narcissism. It's dependent on external validation. Self-love provides its own validation, doesn't need constant admiration, doesn't need to be the center, doesn't need others to confirm worth, has internal source of value. That's self-love. It's self-sustaining. Narcissism exploits others, uses people, takes advantage, doesn't reciprocate, doesn't contribute equally, takes more than gives. That's narcissism. Self-love values others, contributes to relationships, reciprocates, gives and receives, honors others' boundaries, respects others' autonomy. That's self-love. It's generous, not exploitative. Narcissism is fragile. Beneath the grandiosity is deep insecurity, fear of being inadequate, terror of being ordinary. That's narcissism. It's compensation for lack of real self-love. Self-love is stable, secure, doesn't need to be extraordinary to be valuable, comfortable being ordinary, knows inherent worth, doesn't depend on being special. That's real self-love. It's solid. So, no, loving yourself doesn't make you narcissistic. Loving yourself makes you secure, stable, genuinely kind, actually empathetic, really generous, truly compassionate. Because you're not coming from deficit, from insecurity, from desperate need for validation. You're coming from fullness, from security, from genuine love for yourself that extends naturally to love for others. Narcissism is actually the absence of real self-love. It's compensation for deep self-hatred. It's overcompensation for feeling inadequate. Real narcissists don't actually love themselves. They hate themselves and construct a false superior self to hide from that hatred. But real self-love is secure, humble, compassionate, kind to self and others, generous, empathetic. It's not narcissism. It's the opposite. It's genuine self-acceptance that enables genuine acceptance of others. So don't be afraid to love yourself. Don't confuse self-love with narcissism. They're completely different. One is healthy. One is pathological. One extends compassion. One lacks it. One is secure. One is fragile. One is real love. One is compensation for lack of love. Love yourself. Truly, deeply, completely. That's not narcissism. That's health. That's wholeness. That's what enables you to genuinely love others. Because you can't give what you don't have. You can't love others well if you don't love yourself. Self-love isn't selfish. It's foundational for everything good. Start there. Love yourself. That's where real love begins. Let me tell you about what's on the other side of silencing your inner critic. What becomes possible when you replace harsh judgment with kindness. What's waiting for you when you choose self-love. What life looks like when you're finally kind to yourself. You wake up without dread, without immediately being hit with harsh thoughts about yourself, without starting the day already feeling inadequate. You wake up, and the first voice you hear is kind, gentle, supportive. That changes everything. That makes mornings peaceful instead of painful. You try new things without paralyzing fear, because you know if you fail, you won't brutalize yourself. You'll be gentle. You'll learn. You'll try again. So you can take risks. Try. Experiment. Grow. Without the harsh voice making every potential failure feel catastrophic. You enjoy your accomplishments. When you achieve something, you actually feel good about it. The harsh voice isn't there minimizing it, saying it's not enough, saying others did better. You can actually enjoy what you've accomplished. Celebrate it. Feel proud. That's freedom. You handle mistakes with grace. When you mess up, and you will because you're human, you handle it kindly. You acknowledge the mistake. Learn from it. Make amends if needed. Move forward. Without the harsh voice making you feel like a terrible person. Just a human who made a human mistake. You make decisions more easily because you trust yourself, because you know you have your own back, because you know even if you choose wrong, you won't punish yourself eternally. So decisions become easier, less fraught, less heavy. You're present in your life, not constantly in your head criticizing yourself, not perpetually at war with yourself. Just present, here, now. Actually experiencing your life instead of constantly judging it. Your relationships are healthier because you're not bringing self-hatred into them, not projecting your inner critic onto others, not assuming others judge you as harshly as you judge yourself. You can connect more genuinely, love more freely, receive love more fully. You have energy for what matters because you're not exhausting yourself with constant self-criticism. That energy is available for joy, for creativity, for connection, for actually living. You feel peaceful. Not all the time, not perfectly, but more often, more deeply. Real peace that comes from not being at war with yourself, from being on your own side, from treating yourself with kindness. You're more resilient because when difficulty comes, you don't also have to fight your inner critic. You have yourself as an ally, a supporter, a kind presence that makes you stronger, more able to handle challenges. You grow more authentically, not from harsh pressure, from genuine inspiration, from real desire to develop, from belief in yourself. Growth that's sustainable, meaningful, joyful even. You like yourself. Maybe even love yourself. Not narcissistically, genuinely. You enjoy your own company. You appreciate who you are. You like being you. That's profound. That's life-changing. That's what's possible. You're free. Free from constant criticism. Free from endless judgment. Free from the prison of harsh self-talk. Just free to be yourself, to enjoy your life, to exist without constant self-attack. This is what's possible. What's waiting. What becomes available when you silence the harsh voice and choose kindness. When you practice self-love. When you make your inner voice a voice of compassion. All of this, all these beautiful changes, from practicing kindness toward yourself, from replacing harsh with compassionate, from choosing to love yourself. It's worth it, worth the practice, worth the effort, worth the commitment. Because this life, this peaceful, joyful, free life, it's available to you through kindness, through self-love, through silencing the critic and choosing compassion. Choose it, practice it, create it. This life is possible for you through kindness, starting now. Tonight, I want to teach you a practice, a specific practice for handling the harsh inner voice when it speaks, because it will speak. Even as you work on being kinder to yourself, that harsh voice will still appear sometimes. So you need a practice, a method for handling it when it does. First, notice it. Awareness is essential. When that harsh thought appears, notice it. There's the harsh voice. Don't judge yourself for having it. Don't shame yourself for it still being there. Just notice it. Awareness without judgment. Second, pause. Don't immediately engage with the harsh thought. Don't argue with it or believe it or spiral into it. Just pause. Create space between the thought and your response to it. That space is power. That pause is choice. Third, question it. Is this thought true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Would I say this to someone I love? Where did this thought come from? Is it an old message? An internalized criticism? Question the harsh thought. Don't just accept it as truth. Fourth, reframe it. Take that harsh thought and rephrase it with compassion. If the harsh voice says, "You're so stupid," reframe it to, "You made a mistake. You're learning. That's human." Same situation, different voice. Kind instead of harsh. Fifth, respond with affirmation. After reframing, affirm yourself. I'm worthy of kindness. I'm doing my best. I'm enough as I am. Whatever affirmation counters that harsh message, say it. Mean it. Let it replace the harsh thought. Sixth, take action from kindness. Whatever decision or action follows, do it from the kind voice, not the harsh one. Make choices based on self-compassion, not self-criticism. Act from love for yourself, not fear of harsh judgment. Let me show you this practice in action. Imagine you made a mistake at work. The harsh voice says, You're such an idiot. You always mess everything up. Everyone probably thinks you're incompetent. You're going to get fired. First, notice there's the harsh voice. That's familiar. That's my inner critic speaking. Second, pause. Take a breath. Don't spiral into that thought pattern. Just pause. Create space. Third, question. Is that true? Do I always mess everything up? Is everyone really thinking I'm incompetent? Is that helpful? Would I say this to a friend? Where did this harsh response come from? Fourth, reframe. I made a mistake. That happens. Everyone makes mistakes. I can address it, learn from it. This one mistake doesn't define my competence. I'm human, and humans err. Fifth, affirm. I'm capable. I'm learning. I'm allowed to make mistakes. I'm worthy of compassion, especially from myself. I'm doing my best. Sixth, act from kindness. Address the mistake calmly. Learn from it. Make amends if needed. Move forward without harsh self-punishment. Act from self-compassion. See how that works? Same situation, different response. Kind instead of harsh. Compassionate instead of cruel. And that changes everything. The outcome, your emotional state, your ability to learn and grow. Everything. Practice this. Every time the harsh voice speaks, notice, pause, question, reframe, affirm, act from kindness. Over and over, until this becomes automatic, until kind is your default instead of harsh. This is the practice. This is the method. This is how you silence the inner critic and build a kind inner voice. Through practice, through repetition, through consistently choosing compassion over criticism. Practice this daily, multiple times daily. Every time the harsh voice speaks. This is your work, your practice, your path to self-love. Through this method, through this practice, through consistent choice of kindness. I want to address something you might be feeling. Resistance. Resistance to being kind to yourself. Resistance to silencing the harsh voice. Resistance to self-love. That resistance is real. It's common, and it needs to be addressed. Maybe you feel like you don't deserve kindness, like you need to earn it first, like you have to be better before you're worthy of compassion. That's the harsh voice talking. That's the lie you've believed. You deserve kindness now, not after you're perfect, not when you've earned it. Now, as you are. Maybe you feel like being harsh keeps you safe. Like if you're critical enough of yourself, others' criticism won't hurt as much. If you reject yourself first, others' rejection can't wound you. But that doesn't work. Self-rejection doesn't protect from external rejection. It just adds to it. You need kindness, not preemptive self-attack. Maybe you feel like the harsh voice is you. Like silencing it means losing part of yourself. But that harsh voice isn't you. It's learned. It's programming. It's old messages from old sources. You are the awareness that can hear the harsh voice. And you can choose to not believe it. Not let it control you. Not let it define you. Maybe you feel guilty about being kind to yourself. Like it's selfish. Like you should be harder on yourself. Like self-compassion is self-indulgence. But that's wrong. Self-kindness isn't selfish. It's essential. It's not indulgent. It's necessary. For your well-being. For your growth. For your ability to show up in your life and relationships. Maybe you feel afraid. Afraid that without the harsh voice pushing you, you'll become lazy, complacent. You'll stop trying, stop growing. But that fear is unfounded. Kindness motivates better than harshness. Compassion inspires more than criticism. You'll actually grow more with self-love than with self-hatred. Maybe you feel like you've been harsh with yourself for so long that you don't know how to be different. It's habit, it's familiar. Being kind feels foreign, uncomfortable, strange. That's okay. New things feel uncomfortable. Keep practicing. It will become familiar. It will become your new normal. Give it time. Maybe you feel like people won't like you if you love yourself. Like confidence is arrogance. Like self-acceptance is narcissism. But that's not true. Real self-love makes you more likable, not less. More genuine, more secure, more able to truly connect. People respond well to people who like themselves. Maybe you feel like you'll lose your identity, like being harsh with yourself is who you are. But it's not. It's just what you learned. Who you are is beneath that harsh voice. Your essence. Your true self. Silencing the harsh voice doesn't make you lose yourself. It helps you find yourself. Whatever resistance you feel, acknowledge it. Don't judge it. Don't shame yourself for feeling resistant. Just acknowledge it. I feel resistant. That's okay. That makes sense given my history. I can feel resistant and still practice kindness. Both can be true. And then practice anyway, despite the resistance, despite the discomfort, despite the fear. Practice kindness toward yourself anyway. Not because it feels easy, because it's necessary. not because resistance is gone, but because self-love is worth it, even when it's hard. Resistance is normal, expected even. Don't let it stop you. Acknowledge it, understand it, and practice kindness anyway. Through the resistance, past the discomfort, into self-love. That's the path. That's the work. That's what you need. So feel the resistance and practice kindness anyway. Both. Together. Resistance and practice. Discomfort and kindness. That's how change happens. Not by waiting until resistance is gone, but by practicing even while it's there. Do that. Practice kindness despite resistance. That's courage. That's growth. That's how you build self-love. Let me tell you a truth that might change everything. A truth about the harsh voice, about where its authority comes from, about why you believe it. The harsh voice has no actual authority. None. It only has the authority you give it. It can't hurt you without your permission, can't define you without your agreement, can't control you without your compliance. Every time you believe the harsh voice, you're choosing to give it authority. Every time you accept its judgment as truth, you're empowering it. Every time you let it determine your worth, you're putting it in charge. But you don't have to. You can withdraw that authority. You can stop believing it. You can reject its judgment. You can refuse to let it define you. That power is yours, always has been. You just haven't been using it. The harsh voice is just thoughts, just words in your head. It has no power except what you grant it, and you can stop granting it power. You can start questioning it, challenging it, rejecting it when it's unfair, which it usually is. So how do you withdraw authority from the harsh voice? You stop treating it as truth. When it says you're not good enough, instead of believing it, you question it. Is that actually true? Or is that just harsh judgment? Where's the evidence? And is this voice kind? Is it helpful? Is it fair? You recognize it as opinion, not fact. The harsh voice offers opinions, harsh, unfair, cruel opinions, but opinions nonetheless. Not truth, not fact, just judgment. And you can disagree with judgment. You can reject opinions, even from your own mind. You refuse to let it make decisions for you. When the harsh voice says, "Don't try, you'll just fail," you don't have to listen. You can choose differently. You can try anyway. The harsh voice can speak, but it doesn't control your choices. You do. You withdraw emotional investment. The harsh voice speaks. So what? That's just the harsh voice being harsh. It doesn't mean anything about your actual worth. It's just old programming running, old messages replaying. It doesn't deserve your emotional energy, your belief, your fear. You replace its authority with your own knowing. You know your worth. You know your efforts. You know your heart. Trust that knowing, more than the harsh voice. Your knowing has authority. The harsh voice is just noise. Trust yourself, not the critic. This is radical, taking back authority from the harsh voice, refusing to let it control you, choosing to trust yourself instead. It's radical, and it's necessary. It's powerful, and it's liberating. The harsh voice has been in charge too long, speaking as if it knows truth, as if its judgment is fact, as if it has authority over you. But it doesn't. It never did. You gave it that authority, and now you're taking it back. You're the authority on your life, on your worth, on your value. Not the harsh voice. You. Trust yourself. Believe yourself. Give yourself the authority that rightfully belongs to you. And when the harsh voice speaks, because it will, treat it like what it is. Old programming. Learned criticism. Internalized judgment. Not truth, not helpful, not authoritative, just noise that you can choose to ignore, to question, to reject. This changes everything. When you stop giving the harsh voice authority, when you reclaim your power, when you choose to trust yourself instead, everything changes. You become free, powerful, self-trusting, self-loving. So take back your authority. Stop believing the harsh voice just because it's loud. Stop accepting its judgment just because it's familiar. Stop giving it power over you. Take back your power. Trust yourself. Be your own authority. That's self-love. That's self-respect. That's what you deserve. Authority over your own life, your own worth, your own value. Take it back. It's yours. It always was. Claim it. Use it. Trust it. That's your power. Use it. Tonight I want to talk about the future, about who you're becoming, about what's possible when you consistently practice self-kindness, when you silence the harsh voice, when you choose self-love. Who you're becoming through this practice. You're becoming someone who knows their worth, not arrogantly, quietly, surely. Someone who doesn't need external validation to know they're valuable, who doesn't need others' approval to know they're enough, who knows their worth independently, deeply, certainly. You're becoming someone who's genuinely confident, not fake confidence that collapses when challenged, real confidence, built on self-acceptance, on self-love, on inner security. Confidence that's stable because it's not dependent on perfect performance or constant achievement. You're becoming someone who can take risks, who can try new things, who can fail without being devastated. Because you know failure doesn't define you, doesn't make you a failure. Just means you tried something that didn't work, and you'll be kind to yourself through it. You're becoming someone who enjoys life more, who can be present, who isn't constantly in their head criticizing themselves, who can actually experience joy without the harsh voice immediately minimizing it or finding something wrong with it. You're becoming someone who has healthy relationships, who doesn't bring self-hatred into connections, who can receive love, who can give love freely, who doesn't project the inner critic onto others, who relates from security, not desperation. You're becoming someone who's creative, who takes creative risks, who expresses themselves, who isn't paralyzed by fear of harsh judgment. Because you know you'll be kind to yourself, even if creative attempts don't work out. You're becoming someone who's resilient, who can handle difficulty, who has themselves as an ally through challenges, who faces hard things knowing they won't also have to fight their inner critic. Real resilience, built on self-compassion. You're becoming someone who likes themselves, who enjoys their own company, who doesn't need constant distraction from their own thoughts, who actually likes being alone with themselves because their internal environment is kind, not harsh. You're becoming someone who grows authentically, not from harsh pressure, from genuine desire, from belief in themselves, from inspiration. Growth that's sustainable, meaningful, joyful, built on self-love, not self-hatred. You're becoming someone who's at peace, not perfectly, not constantly, but more often, more deeply. Real peace that comes from not being at war with yourself, from treating yourself with kindness, from being on your own side. You're becoming someone who's free from constant criticism, free from endless judgment, free from harsh self-talk, free to be yourself, to enjoy your life, to exist without constant self-attack. You're becoming someone who inspires others, not intentionally, not trying to, but naturally. Because when people see someone who genuinely loves themselves, who treats themselves kindly, who's at peace with who they are, it's inspiring. It gives others permission to do the same. You're becoming someone who breaks cycles, who doesn't pass on harsh judgment to others, who doesn't perpetuate criticism, who models self-kindness, who teaches self-love through example, who heals not just themselves, but influences healing in others. You're becoming beautiful. Not physically, though you might feel more beautiful, but essentially, spiritually, emotionally, beautiful in how you treat yourself, in how you speak to yourself, in how you love yourself. That beauty radiates. This is who you're becoming. Through this practice, through choosing kindness, through silencing the harsh voice, through loving yourself. This person, this free, peaceful, confident, loving person, that's who you're becoming. And that person is worth every bit of effort this practice requires. Every moment of choosing kindness over harshness. Every time you question the critic, every time you practice compassion, all of it is creating this person, creating you, the you you're meant to be, the you who's free to just be. Keep practicing. Keep choosing kindness. Keep loving yourself. You're becoming someone beautiful, someone free, someone at peace. Keep going. That person is worth it. You're worth it. And now, as we close tonight, as you prepare to rest, I want you to do something. I want you to speak to yourself with love. Real, genuine, deep love. Like you would to someone you cherish. Place your hand on your heart. Feel it beating. That heart has been beating for you your entire life. Faithfully, without judgment, without conditions, just loving you, keeping you alive. That deserves love back. You deserve love back. Now say to yourself, with all the gentleness you can find, I love you. Say it to yourself, your name if that helps. I love you, your name. Mean it. Feel it. Let yourself hear it from your own voice. I love you. Not because you're perfect, not because you've earned it, not because you've done everything right. I love you because you're you, because you're here, because you exist. That's enough. You're enough. I love you. Say it. Let yourself hear it. Let yourself receive it. Love from yourself, for yourself. That's what you need. That's what you deserve. That's what changes everything. I'm done being harsh with you. I'm done criticizing you constantly. I'm done treating you like you're never enough. You are enough. You've always been enough. And I'm going to treat you like you're enough. With kindness, with compassion, with love. Feel that commitment, that choice, that decision to love yourself, to be kind to yourself, to silence the harsh voice and choose compassion. I'm on your side now. I'm your ally, not your enemy. I'm your supporter, not your critic. I'm your friend, not your judge. I'm here with you, for you, believing in you, loving you always. Know that's true. Feel that presence, that loving presence from yourself for yourself. That's what you need. That's what you have now. That's your commitment. You're safe with me. I won't attack you. I won't criticize you cruelly. I won't judge you harshly. You're safe with me. I'll be gentle. I'll be kind. I'll be loving. You can rest here, in my kindness, in my love for you. Feel that safety, that security, that loving presence. Rest in it. Trust it. Believe it. I see you. I see your efforts. I see your heart. I see how hard you try. I see how much you care. I see you, and I love what I see. You're good. You're worthy. You're lovable. I see you, and I love you. Let yourself be seen by yourself, with love, with kindness, with acceptance. Let yourself be fully seen and fully loved by yourself. Rest now. Rest in my love. Rest in my kindness. Rest in knowing you're enough, just as you are, right now. You're enough. You're loved. You're worthy. Rest in that. Trust that. Believe that. Rest. Rest in self-love. Rest in self-acceptance. Rest in self-kindness. Rest knowing you're finally being kind to yourself. Finally loving yourself. Finally treating yourself with the gentleness you deserve. The harsh voice might speak again. It probably will. But now you know. You know how to respond. With kindness. With love. With compassion. You know how to silence the critic, how to choose love, how to be kind to yourself. So rest. Rest in love. Rest in kindness. Rest in peace with yourself. You're loved by yourself. And that's everything. That's the beginning of everything good. Self-love. You have it now. Cherish it. Protect it. Practice it. Always. Good night, beautiful soul. You're loved, especially by yourself. That's what matters most. That's what changes everything. Love yourself. Always. Especially now. Especially tonight. Rest in love. Your own love. For yourself. That's home. That's peace. That's everything. Good night. I love you, and more importantly, you love you. Rest in that. Sleep well.